Waiting. I just got on. Thank you for being patient. I don't know what's up, and I don't see nobody now. I'm gonna give a little time. We're gonna see if it's uh see what I'm working with. So what's up? What's happening? How you doing? I just did 2 videos. I think you're gonna like them. I did 2 videos, and I will share them. One of them is Marjorie Taylor Greene with the disc by Jasmine Crockett. Marjorie Taylor Greene got the boom, and she got the boom. Jasmine Crockett called her the blonde, butch built. I was cracking up. She got dissed. Jasmine Crockett. That was fire. I got to see the full video because she went in on this black woman on the Senate. And then yeah. And so I saw it and I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Jasmine Crockett. Oh yeah. She brought the firecrackers. She slit her butt up, shook her up. I nearly shook the blonde out her head. Shook her weave up. I loved it. 2 of my favorite people then got shook up. Because once I got past old Vinny, and now this one, Vivek, and now Marjorie. Oh, wow. I love it. Love it. And then, of course, I went in on Stephen A. Smith with his hating self on Puffy. Not that I'm condoning Puffy, but I thought, oh, you ain't said nothing about Dana White and Josh Giddey. Here you are saying it's the end of Diddy. So So I had to let that be known. But anyway, that's what's up. So anyway, so go ahead and talk about those Knicks. See what you got to say about them Knicks. I wonder where the Knicks fans are. You think so? They should. The fix is in. It would be criminal if the Pacers won, even though I'm going to tell you like this. The Pacers would be a more intriguing series because they got scores. But it's just the Pacers just don't play smart. If they listen, I did my video. If you put Jalen Brunson on the Pacers and got rid of Tyler and made that move, Pacers come out the East. Put Brunson with Pascal and Miles Turner, they're coming out the East. So one needs a roast video. What? What needs a roast video? Which one? I did a roast on Stephen A. and I did Marjorie Taylor Greene. What needs a what needs a roast? Yeah, 2000. Who had it Iverson at number 5? I don't understand what you're saying. See if I'm missing something. Who are you talking about had Iverson at 2001 and number 5? Who? I'm confused. Because you got Knicks will win. And pertaining to what? Pertaining to what? Do tell. Pertaining to what? Compared to Bronson? Are you saying compared to Jalen Brunson's run? The reason why you can make an argument in his that's not roast word. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, well, give me the other 4 and then I can debate. Give me the other 4. I would say it's more impressive than Iverson, though. And I'll tell you why. Because Iverson had Dikembe, who was Defensive Player of the Year, had Coach of the Year, Cheerleader of the Year, Mascot of the Year. They had everything going their way. They just had to go against Shaq and his apex and then Kobe on the come up and field. But it's kind of overrated in a way. It was kind of overrated. He had a great year, but he had more to work with. Brunson doesn't have as much to work with. Now that's the one thing I could have Brunson. But who the other? I might give you that, but who the others? Who are the other 4? I want to know 2 through 4 before I decide if I roast or not. So Curry was number 315. Kyrie 2016. Kyrie 2016 was number. Okay, I'm confused. You got Iverson at 5. Kyrie 2016 is what? 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2. I'm confused by 2 to 4 because Curry's 3. Oh, shucks. Now that is fireable right there. Damon Lillard does not belong in that sentence. Now, see, yeah, I might not have said nothing. Dame doesn't belong. Dame 2019, he got ate up by Draymond Green. And he had a 4. He was kind of like the Lakers were against Denver. Had leads in all 4 games and lost all 4 games. Really? That's the last time Dame Lillard was seen alive in the postseason past April. Well, aside from the pandemic in 2020, but I'm talking about regular season. That's the last time he was alive. Wow. Hmm. Mm. So 2015 Curry was 2. Kyrie was 4. Dame was Steph 15. If he's making the standpoint that Brunson has had less to play with, I can't argue. Yeah, but that wouldn't even. The only reason why I don't roast it is because that'd be Dame up over Steph. And I would take Jalen out the equation. And I want it to be pro Jalen. I don't want it to be. So you do understand that's why I won't touch it. I want to touch it, but I can't because then I got to defend Dame. I got to defend Steph over Dame, and I really want to defend Brunson's choice. And so he's kind of got me in that one. I hope you understand. Not really. They didn't go to the finals. I think he had a great run what he had, but he didn't go to the finals. I'm sorry. When you play for the Celtics, you got to cash it in. I thought it was a very good run, but I don't think it was great. If you're a Celtics, It's got to be a chip or nothing else. Sorry. I'm going to do a Celtics video, by the way, because if they don't win a chip, Tatum's season doesn't count. I'm sorry. And that's how the Celtic way. So you just reminded me I'm going to do the Celtic video tomorrow. That's how I look at it. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I like what it did, but it's not great. Because Celtics, it's about championships. If you wear that sham, you got to come up with the jewelry. So that's how I look at that. I understand where you're coming from, but they about chips. That's the Celtics we're talking about. They don't know anything less than chips. So if they don't win, they should by default. I'm not impressed though. I'm not impressed. I wish I were. The problem is mission for what? Mission. Mission what? Mission to do what? I can't call them on a mission because they lost 2 games to a Clippers team they should have probably beat 4-1. They lost 2 games to an OKC team they should have beat 4-1. So how that's a mission? Mission for what? Impossible? They're not a championship team. You're kidding yourself. They haven't given me indication that I felt like they were a chip team. I felt they're good enough to get the Western Conference Finals. I still think they're missing another piece. And I'm not buying. I think Washington, I think you made a good point about their acquisitions. Listen, I'm not going to hear nobody talking. Y'all were Laker fans, so I don't take y'all seriously. Y'all jump on another wagon. I would buy them if I thought that they had spanked OKC like they supposed to. But the way they lost that game 5, I don't know. They lost the game they should have won. They got held. They got held to under 100 points. You know, I'd be more inclined to believe Cole on that one. Because if they spanked the Clippers like they supposed to, and they gave OKC a game, okay, I said one thing. But they haven't, they can be streaky. And they really don't have a reason to be streaky in this OKC series. Shay's got to be like Iverson. Shay's got to be like Iverson. He's got to play out his mind. Because Chad is too light in the cakes. I like Chad, but he's light in the cakes. So I'm not buying that, I'm not with it right now. So that's how I'm feeling right now. I would say they're more closer to being fraudulent than they are legit. I would say that. Well, it's 3-2. So what you're trying to say, you're saying it's gonna go 7. You don't want Tim Hardaway Jr. to be your hero in Game 7 if it goes 7. You don't want that. He's not a scrub. He's a never was. Because to call him a scrub actually means that he had I can't recall his moments. That's Ted's boy. I'm not a Tim Hardaway Jr. fan, so I think he's too streaky. Now, there was one sighting of him, and now he's a scrub level. Yeah, give me a break. He be up there hiding. He should come up big to this game. That's what he need to come up big. Because he's in the doghouse. Because he's fifth wheel. I'm going to break your heart, Ted, but Tim Hardaway Jr. got that Tobias Harris syndrome. He's got that Tobias Harris syndrome. And it's real catchy. It's a bug that you can't escape. That's what I think about him. Yeah. That's what he remind me of. You don't want to have the Tobias Harris. The Tobias Harris, it spreads like wildflower. And when you get it, you always gonna be stuck right where you are. But I ain't mad at Tobias. If I can be the fourth option and get paid like I'm the second or third, second high second, I ain't complaining. Somebody gonna pay for that turkey. But Tim Hardaway Jr. been getting away. I don't put them in the same sentences. Chandler Parsons had a little bit of a career. Gabe Vincent is like 3 steps away from the local Y. That's not the same. And he ain't making no big bag. He worked hard and he got what he got, but it ain't, you gotta put him, he'd be good in Denver. He need to be somewhere he can catch and shoot. Playing with the Lakers ain't it. And why they went after him. And they messed up with getting cats from Miami. What's his name? The left-handed cat that they got from the Heat. I think it was Nunn. And he didn't fit either. Yeah, he didn't fit. They messed up the last 2 times they've gotten Heat guys to come off the bench because it's a different system and it really shows. So Kendrick Nunn didn't fit and Gabe Vincent ain't fit. And don't go after Duncan Robinson because he wouldn't fit either for y'all, or especially Tyler Hero wouldn't fit for y'all either. So, just saying. Chandler Parsons had a little bit of a career, a little bit, like a little bit, like a broke version of Eric Gordon type of career, a little bit. But no, that Tobias Harris now, that's where you get paid. Nobody remembers the last time you played, though. You've been on a milk carton for about 20 years, but that's when you get paid. So there's a big difference. Big difference. I don't count cats that are what I call pieces of role players, because that's what Gabe Vincent is and Parsons. Those are piece role players. All right, what's up, Steve Howard? Where you coming from? What's up? Oh yeah, well I told you it was coming with that. He comes after all the black. He always got something to say about somebody black. Dana White cold smacks right on TV live. I ain't hear nothing but crickets. Josh Giddey is struggling bad. We don't talk about that on this stream. I'm going to talk about it tonight. He's one of the Achilles for OKC as we talk right now. That white boy had some confidence about a year ago when he's up there chasing them in the gram. But what's he doing now? All right, Steve, what's up? Better? George Karl. He got his team to the finals. He had more run. D'Antoni had what we call individual great players for MVP consideration. We go Nash, we go James Harden. We even say Lynn Sandy was great, but he underachieved with his teams. Amari looked great, but his teams underachieved. He has no finals appearances to show for what he had. George Karl had great records and great teams. And even though Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs, I still take Gary Payton better guard. I never bought D'Antoni, and of course what happened with the Lakers didn't help his case. But he was good for individual players. His system, individual players. Obviously Nash and Harden won MVP, but his teams never got to the promised land. I got to keep that in consideration. Of course, you could say D'Antoni with the Lakers and George Karl with Sacramento. But Boogie did play good. He just hated him and ran him out. But George Karl was good for your offense too, but his teams actually had more success. I got to keep it 100. D'Antoni is a great offensive-minded coach, but that's all he got. And his teams don't really go too far. So, but I know why the D'Antoni love is strong. I get it. We like to watch the excitement. Short on substance, though. All right, that's a good question. Second time I've been asked that, but I don't mind. I've stayed consistent. Anybody disagree? Feel free. We can debate it. And I'm not a George Karl fan by no stretch, but he did get his teams to the finals, and he did keep teams more consistent. And he could adjust. So I like what he did with offenses. Oh, you talking about the bubble where they got the wait? What did he say all together? I saw some of it, but I didn't see all of it. He's always been kind of like almost renegade where he kind of speaks. What's happening? What's happening? Come on, Ted, tell me what he say before I look it up, because I'll make a video of it. I know Too Raw did something about it, but I'll do my own take. But what did he say? I didn't get the full gist of it. Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice got rings. Jerry Rice led his team. Moss was a talented receiver, very gifted, but Rice was another level. Randy Moss never finished what he started. Come on, Ted, tell me what he said about LeBron. I'll let me know. But I will say Moss is probably my second favorite receiver ever. I'll say that. All things considered, because he was a special freak. Oh yeah. Yeah, because nobody wanted to be there. The Clippers were paranoid about it. It was staged a certain way. And it did work out for the Lakers' favor. They wouldn't have won the title that year if it was things that had been. They were going to run out of gas, and it did work out for them. I believe it because they wanted LeBron to have a ring. They wanted him to have a ring in LA by any means necessary. Dirk, come on now. Dirk in a blowout. Come on now. Dirk got more out of his talent. Melo was a talented player, but Dirk, come on now. I mean, he led a team. He led. And I will make this case why if you're coming up here asking me based on talent, okay. But let me say it like this. Common sense will say this. Melo played with more talent than Dirk did. Once we get past Michael Finley, Steve Nash, Josh Howard, but Melo had a better system. Melo had a great situation in Denver. Had a good system in New York. Everywhere he went, they ran around him. He just couldn't deliver because he wasn't a focal. He wasn't that dude. Dirk was. So that's a no-brainer for me. Okay, thanks, Ted. I'll do that video about that. I agree with him. I'm not big on George Karl, but I agree with him. The league wanted them to have a ring. They want him out there in LA because let's be realistic. His LA experience has been more about like I said, Skip was right with what he said. He was chasing Michael B. Jordan than Michael Jordan. I give you that. Funny line, but there's truth to it. He wouldn't hardly be where he is if they don't have that bubble. It's true. I give Skip that one. Oh, he was. Because he wouldn't be there. Okay, this might be the toughest question you asked. Well, Skip is more because of what he does as starting up shows. But for me, as time has gone on, it's Max Kellerman because Kellerman just isn't a host. He doesn't have Skip's top tier to pull a show. But as far as giving you information and balance, I love that his takes a lot more. Depends on what you want on the show. If you want a shock cat and a cat that, because it's, Skip gives you that, everybody feeds off of his energy. But if you want a guy who's actually detailed and you can relate to and he speaks, puts a certain perspective in things, case, it's Kellerman. So that's my personal opinion there. It's two different types, though. And before you ask, no, Kellerman cannot host a show like Skip. But Skip can't be relatable to a general audience like Max. And they have different agendas. Different agendas. Preferably, I like Kellerman better. There's no nonsense with him. That's what I like. But I know what Skip's about. So that's a good question. They have to. They have to have. Well, see, that sounds like that can come across like uh, JDS, gold digger status. Let me explain. You can't say that. You can't say that uh to say that because to say fine is harassment. That's subjective. Funny, okay. You say financially stable. What you trying to employ? So, and she's not gonna work with 3Fs per se. She's gonna work with the grandpas or the certain cats that fit this criteria. So I understand. Joe Torre, Steve. He always could manage wherever he went. I mean, Bobby Cox was great in Atlanta, but Torre, he was versatile. He adapted, and he got the most out of his team with superstars. Without, he got it done. And I like Bobby Cox is great, just a Joe on another level. He always could manage. Let me write that down about Joy saying that because that might be that might get her in trouble. Uh, because Joy don't mess. She mess with them white boys, and she messes with a certain caliber. Let me write that down. And I'm gonna answer this question real quick. LaRusso. And let me explain why. I don't like LaRusso personally, but he won in different places. That carries weight. He won in the American League, he won the National League, he won in different systems. That's the reason being. Um, Cito was bad, but Cito never got Cito, it's different. It's not even fair because the better comparison, I think, with LaRusso would have probably been like against Billy Martin or somebody like that, or Sparky Anderson. It's not fair with Cito, but Cito's got multiple rings. Woodson. Woodson. Because I remember what he did for the Knicks. And he got ran out. Scott Skiles, hard working cat, but I'm not really that. I thought they got a little bit better mediocrity, but I thought Woodson impressed me more in New York and Atlanta. I think he got a raw deal in New York. I liked him. Why are you shocked? Why are you shocked about Joy? She's got gold diggerish vibes all over her, and she's got crossover appeal. She got hip when she got to Skip and Shannon because she's with that old white cat. And then she broke up and she was messing with your boy for a minute. But George always been like, she slurps for LeBron. You know, she's got knowledge, but she be prancing too. This is a good one. Oh, this is a good one. I gotta give it to Lenny. Lenny had a distinctive style and flair. And, you know, he won a chip back to back and underappreciated. Underappreciated. What do you mean, Brewski, Booker McFarland on ESPN? I don't understand what that means, Steve. You gotta explain. I gotta give it to Lenny, but Sloan is one of my favorite coaches ever. It's just that Lenny could go almost anywhere and his style would work. I don't know if Sloan could have been able to be as versatile though. But I like him though. Don't get it twisted. Oh, analyzing? Um, that's a good question. Oh, that's a real good one. Now that might be your best one yet. I gotta give a slight edge to Booger. I think he actually compartmentalized a little bit more. There's a different approach. I got to give Booger just a slight little edge, but it's close. That's because Brewski be bringing it, but I got to give Booger just a slight edge on that one. That's a great question because I never get asked about them two, and I don't really think about them two. But Booger is pretty cool. I'm surprised they let him be using that name on that network though. But I think he's good on that though. But yeah, I gotta give Lenny the edge on that one. And again, Ted, I'm not look, Joy is fine. She look good and all that, but we don't sweat her. Especially when she started slurping about LeBron. She slurps and she's pretty much corporate. She bought and paid for. So, and if you can't see it, it's because you're looking at the wrong thing. You know, her bias is pretty blatant. I mean, she's a Heat fan on that, but her bias is pretty blatant. Oh, Rick Carlisle, come on now. Come on now. Nate's like the quicker picker upper in the midseason who always gets that job when a team is 16 and 23. And then he ends up with a 40. He wins up, so they might lose 7 more games. And let me make up some number. They might end up, I don't know, 39, 33. And he gets to a couple rounds in the playoffs and he always looks good. And then about 2 or 3 years, where's his welcome? He gets fired. He is what I call a nice second tier type of coach. But Rick Carlisle is a made man. Rick Carlisle been in the finals, y'all. Rick Carlisle got ring. Rick Carlisle battle tested. Big difference. And that's not a fair comparison for Nate. Yeah, it's not close to me. Nate ain't gonna never see no finals as a head coach. Just saying. He tends out where it's welcome. He gets a team up for about a couple years, then they get tired of him, and then they go AWOL on him. This is Carlisle's second stint with the Pacers, and he won in Dallas. So, and he already got a ring. So, so that's how I look at it. Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, Ted mentioned that too. Yeah, well, Ted brought it to my attention. That definitely deserved a video. I don't even really pay it that much attention, but the way she said that, yeah, that hit kind of funny. Oh yeah, well, Stephen go. I liked Ozzie Gideon, but I gotta say Gibbons because Ozzie made a mistake. As he run his mouth and then he runs himself into the ground too quick. And then the Miami thing didn't turn out that good. He knows stuff, but sometimes you got to know how to win the fold. It's like you're playing cards. He gets himself with too many pickles by trying to. That's the problem. He ran his mouth when the White Sox ran, and he put Frank Thomas's business on the streets and talked about this and that. I like when he talk real talk, but sometimes he go too far. Sometimes it was funny. Sometimes you trying to say too much, and then you just get yourself in a bad situation. In his defense, he's got a ring, but then also against him, it can't do him no good. So can't say much about him no more. Frank Thomas as a hitter, and his impact will be more felt. I like Manny. I like Manny more on a personal, but Frank Thomas is more impactful as a hitter. The Big Hurt was just, he was the right-handed version of Tony Gwynn. You know, I like Manny a lot, but Frank Thomas gonna carry the weight in that argument from a historical perspective. It's not who I'd rather hang out with, but let's keep it 100. The Big Hurt. That's what happens. I think if Manny had won a ring in Cleveland or with the Dodgers, we'd be having a different argument. And see, baseball is different than other sports because sometimes you need to have that and another argument for people to put you in a certain light. So I think that's what works against him. But Frank Thomas is he checks a lot of the boxes. And he was an incredible hitter. I didn't like him personally of the two, but because that old stupid trialysis, and she'll like it too, and all that crap. Tired had to deal with him because he be shuffling. He shuffles. So all right, come on, some more questions now. Don't get froze up. Oh, Luca, come on now. Luca. Dame is one of the most overrated players ever. I know he's picked as one of the 75 greatest in his numbers and his stats. And I know he scored the 70 something last year, and I did make a video and I gave him that. But this thing in Milwaukee is making him look vastly overrated. Very. And as much as I like Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie's arguably in the top 75, he ain't no Giannis. And I know cash money that if Kyrie played with Giannis, there'd be way better results. I'm not so sure if Damian played with Luka that you get anything. So I'm just gonna say keep it 100. Luka's been on the upside because the team. But if he don't fool around and get, to a finals or something, he will eventually he could fall into Damian category. But a lot of that comes from the fact he comes into the season overweight or he doesn't play up to his best ability. But he's still doing better than Damian though. He's gonna get fool around and get to another conference final. Excuse me. So I like Luka's overall ability. Dame has had moments, but he ain't put together what this guy's put together. It's a good question though. But this past year, I think pretty much, unless Dame does something drastically with Milwaukee in the future, it's not close. I'm going with Bobby Cox. And I do like Gardenhire. But Bobby was, again, that was Atlanta runs speak for themselves. And he did good in Toronto too. So, but Gardenhauer, Gardenhauer was a winner and he was good, but I gotta give Bobby Cox. Bobby. Bobby was bad. All right. James Harden, MVP, actually was a top tier player. Donovan Mitchell is what I consider as a second tier sidekick. The only reason why you can ask me this question is because Harden fell off so bad and he never got to where he was supposed to. And he's old now, but peak for peak, it's Harden in a blowout. Donovan can score a lot of points, but he ain't a difference maker like Harden. But he's one of the guys I'd sought after, though, as a sidekick. The only reason why that might be a hard question for some is because they both underachievers. But it ain't hard for me. I saw Harden in his peak in his prime. Donovan ain't gonna never reach that height. So can't wait for some more questions. Tim Duncan. And no disrespect, I can tell you haven't been on my forums before because I'm pretty straightforward with who I like. Because if you watch Drink Champs, I could be on Drink Champs. I don't drink and I never would take a drink because I always got an answer. Sometimes they may be a little difficult. This ain't difficult at all. Garnett is a woulda, coulda, shoulda been better than what he was. Just didn't have it. Duncan was fundamentally incredible. Could beat Garnett at his game. Could be physical, could impose. Yes. They're not even in the same weight class. They're not even. It's lopsided. Is that really a question? Really? I mean, the only thing I was like Shaquille O'Neal about Cronkite. When Cronkite got that big contract, I was like, dang, that might if I grow some height, that might be a place where I have to grow some height. If he can get paid, I think I get paid. Oh God, please don't say nothing like that. That's an insult to Horace Grant. Okay. I mean, that one's comical. I mean, that's almost like asking me Sean Bradley versus Rick Smits. I mean, come on now. Ooh, this is a good one. I got to give it to Doc because he got the ring. Don Nelson could never lead his team to the next level. Don Nelson had many opportunities. Now, actually, they both got a lot in common. Actually, Steve, this is a good question because there's a lot of similarity. I'm not arguing against that. I'll get to that in a second. Um, but Doc, because he got the championship pedigree. But if Doc's almost getting to be a point where they're closer. Nelson had a lot of things, but I already said Kobe. I'll give Kobe the edge on that time. Joker. Joker can do more. Dave Robinson's more athletic. David could score, but Joker's a better passer. He can rebound. He got a better outside shot. He's a better leader. Yeah, ain't that something? If you actually believe that one, Seth. I mean, that's way to no, no. Ginobili was a special player. Um, he didn't beat Barkley. No one looked at Will Purdue beating Barkley. That's comical. That's just as ridiculous as mentioning Concac against Horace Grant. It's an insult. Will Purdue, that next what you gonna say? Will Purdue is better than Karl Malone? Come on now, please. No, I like Ginobili. Ginobili was athletic, and he's one of those guys. Had he had his own team, history might look at him. Tell me what's nonsense to you. Ginobili was a bad dude. And you remember, he came up as a sixth man, made himself a starter. There's one of them series, the series ended quickly. He would have been MVP worthy. He had a couple, he was very agile, very versatile, wiry, like a slinky. And he could give you a fit. So that's like crackheadish to me. I mean, really. I mean, Will Purdue doesn't even believe that one. The TV show? You talking about him going to Glee, the TV show? This is a great question. Mm, I still got to give George Karl the edge. Alderman's Portland team did get to two finals, one more than Carl, but he got out coached in different ways. He's had some great situations, obviously, with Sacramento, but he had a lot of like what I consider to be flash in the pan situations. He just didn't really, I don't know, he just didn't finish. He's somewhere, him and Alderman, George Karl, Dan Tony, Don Nelson, they all kind of like the same coach. A lot of flashes. They couldn't finish like Rudy Tomjanovich, if you want my honest opinion. And obviously, Steve Kerr's got all their rings. Because if we're talking about that style and that cadence, that's where they all were headed towards. Bigs, back tapping, long shots, you know. Well, Dennis Rodman was one of them. Um, Ray Lewis was one of them. Tom Brady was one of them. Barry Bonds was one of them. Um, well, that's racial. I'm talking about people that actually were real villains, not some turkey that was a clan, and he had a little bit of an outer body, but you know, Chris Bosh. Bosh gave you more. Bosh's Toronto career would have been something before his Miami career. Sean Marion was good, very good, but Bosh, because again, he won in Dallas, but it wasn't like, that's not a funny, fair comparison. Two different positions, two different players. You gotta come with something more. I'm not gonna, they two different positions. But if I'm gonna play the role, I'm gonna go with Wilt. Because Wilt led the league in assists. Kobe didn't even lead his own team in assists. So come on now. If we're gonna play that role, I'm gonna take Wilt. If you just say anybody to anybody, I don't really like to go against the out of position players because that's not fair. But if you're gonna do that, I have to go with Wilt. He was a better all around player than Kobe. Mr. Mahomes. Again, once you get familiar with my channel, certain people are just almost automatic. Peyton Manning had what I call one of the 2 or 3 greatest regular season quarterbacks I've ever seen. His postseason, even though he's got 2 rings and 4 trips, I don't even know if that's top 10 worthy because it didn't. Thank you. I don't even know if it's worthy. But Mahomes, come on now. 3 Super Bowl wins, 3 Super Bowl MVP trophies, clutch, dependable, 2 regular seasons. I mean, come on now. And he's going to smash records. So it's, you know, what's happening? What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you, Tom. Thank you, Marina. Appreciate the shout out. Decided to wear the hat today. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going Mahomes already. How's he overrated when he's got 3 rings? He's been to 4 Super Bowls. And who is the quarterback that can say that they've had his success since he's been in the league? Please tell me. Oh, Joe Burrow's got 1 Super Bowl appearance. Lamar Jackson just went to his first AFC Championship game with 2 league MVPs. Dak Prescott? Never mind. Josh Allen? Never mind. Deshaun Watson? Never mind. Justin Herbert? Never mind. Okay. Come on, Steve. This ain't even funny. It's Dak in a blowout now. If we were starting at their careers, that's one thing. But we're not starting at their careers. Wentz could have been a league MVP, got a Super Bowl. How did he choke to him? It was a team. Now, they lost the Super Bowl. They did come back and it had to be an overtime against New England. But how? He only lost 1 Super Bowl and he lost to a better team. But when you win 3 out of 4, how's that a choke? How's that choke? Thank you very much. I'm glad. Where are you coming from? And I hope y'all not the same person because y'all echoing. Okay, well, thank you. I don't do the acknowledgement. It's kind of like a low key. I appreciate everyone that supports me. I really do. I just don't really broadcast business because I like to, but I appreciate though. And I'm glad for everyone that comes through and may there be more. I appreciate everybody. I just like it when more people come through though and say something. For me, it's not a popular opinion, but I'm taking Shaq because he dominated. He won more, and he actually won more with less. Wilt had 2 of the greatest teams ever. Shaq only had 1 great team when he won, and that was 2000. Wilt is an incredible all-around talent. Please read out my comment. I love your channel. It's okay, Stanley. I appreciate it. Where you coming from? Wilt is probably like Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds. I mean, he's on his own island, but Shaq moved me more. He got the wins. He came up big. He did the thing. I think his passing is underrated. I actually think the biggest underrated skill of Shaquille O'Neal was how fundamentally sound he was. He knew his footwork. He obviously was aware of where he was on the court. His timing was really great. He understood what he had to do. You have to be a very superior coordinated player to dominate. So, Kobe, come on now. Look, I like AI like the next person, but Kobe could do all that, was a better pure scorer, better pure shooter, better defender, and just was able to really reach heights. He really worked himself. Jalen, I think how he's able to just his coordination. That's what's so impressive because his steps aren't that complex. He herks and jerks and moves and twirls. He doesn't really beat you. It's not like he keeps the ball moving. He keeps his feet moving and he's got a straight cutter. He's going to always get his lane. He's going to get his place where he's going to go. And that says a lot about his will. He has strong will. You ain't gonna beat him by just talking about it. Come on, Steve, these questions down, because this is ridiculous. Of course, it's Kellerman. Nick Wright ain't nothing but a paid puppet. And it works to an extent, but it's a joke. And I like Wild's the best on this show anyway. It's not up for discussion. I'd say his footwork. His footwork. Because he really gets his feet planted when he makes those threes. He knows how to leap his feet in and out when he dribbles, and he has good footwork. I think that's probably his underrated skill. I think that doesn't get enough mention. He knocks down them top of the key threes. His footwork is very distinctive. It's very rhythmic. I don't mind questions, but sometimes if you know the people that I follow, and I don't even acknowledge Nick Wright. Now this is tough only because I'm not a fan of neither one of them. So by default, I'm gonna say Jay-Z. T.I. always liked his beats, but to me, he peaked out pretty early. And of course, he had the film career and the other things which balanced his career out. Jay-Z got more songs, but I don't like neither one of them. But that's a good question, though. That's a good one, though. I'll give you that. You haven't mentioned two rappers that I'm not a big fan of, but Jay-Z got that one. I probably listen to T.I. for a few things because I like the production on his records. I just never been big on T.I. though. So I'm laughing because we don't really associate these two turkeys with acting. They action. I'll be right back, baby. Hey, Adrian, come and get you. It's Stallone. Stallone got sequels. Stallone got over. Arnold was a one-trick pony. But, well, if it's action, it's Arnold. If it's acting, it's Stallone. But both of them are both from the meathead salami crew. Duncan, man, come on now. Duncan, that's not even fair to Kevin Durant, who's one of the greatest offensive pure scorers ever, talented, but he ain't seen no Tim Duncan. Okay, let me address this real quick. Underrated skill for KD, his coordination, because he's got good strength in his body. He's very light and wiry, but he gets his shots up. He's got, he's very wiry. Okay, so you said Jerry West. No, well, Jerry West did win an MVP for a losing team. Just lost to a better team. Aaron Rodgers don't always lose to better teams. Because that was their peak. Well, except for Montana, but Brady and Montana were going to be linked. And Manning and Rodgers were part of Brady's peer core. Mahomes is not compared to them because I think, well, obviously we're talking black quarterback and all that, but anyway, they're different athletic quarterbacks too, and it wasn't part of his peers. I gotta go 10. Okay, I gotta think about it. Okay, OJ, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Gail Sayers, Barry Sanders, Earl Campbell, Eric Dickerson, Emmitt Smith, Tony Dorsett, Marcus Allen. Falk would probably be outside of my top 10. I like those 10 that I mentioned. But you got Pryor and Adrian Peterson with two. Feel free to have a Pryor in my top 10. You don't like Emmitt Smith? You don't like Tony Dorsett? I might take Marcus out. I might put Falk in. So I'll take Marcus. I'll put Falk in. There you go. But anyway, that's 10 I can name off the top of my head. Eric Dickerson was bad. Dorsett was bad. Emmitt Smith. Thomason's close. Yeah. Even though he didn't do nothing in the postseason, that's my knock against him. Sit there looking like Darth Vader on the sidelines. I always had an issue with how he just was shortcomings in the postseason. Popped and ran his cap a lot. AP would have been, it's true. I watched him against New England. He sat there and froze like Darth Vader. He's like, didn't move. Oh, Cam Newton, come on now. Come on. Cam led a one-loss team to a Super Bowl. Tony Romo had way more options, more chances. If he'd have had Cam Newton's poise, what's up? If he'd have had Cam Newton's poise, he did that on the sideline. He sit there with that helmet on his head, look all lost, and just looked like he was lost. And I'm like, what's up? If Romo had Newton's poise, he probably would have been one of the greatest ever. They're going to give him the Hall of Fame with that. But what about Bo Jackson and Terrell Davis? What you asking? Who was better? Or you saying in your top 10? You asking me who was better, or are they top 10? I don't understand when you say Bo Jackson and TD. If you're asking me who I think was better of those two, well, they both didn't play to their full potential because of injuries and so on and so forth. I'm going to say Bo. Because Bo would have been incredible had he stayed healthy. Oh, okay, that's cool. But I like TD though. TD was bad. Um, okay, so it's no, I'm a baseball fan. About you. Multiple rings, different teams. I can't argue against success. And look, I love Frank Robinson. Frank's one of my favorite people as a manager and as a player. But come on now. Bochy is like the genie. He's like, I got him in top 10, but I don't have him top, I got him on the bottom 10. He did come up clutch. I know why y'all diss him, and I understand it. Because obviously he had the better offensive line in the stack. But I give him his clutch. He came up big when he had to. He had some games and I remember when they tried not to pay him, and they had Robert Lassiter, and them busters lost 2 games and they were struggling. And Jerry Jones had to get all that check. He hated to have to do that. Bochy is the truth, y'all. See, I got Bruce Bochy's stories. I go back to when he was a baseball player and he sucked. He couldn't even bat his body weight. And I didn't pay him a lot of mind. But as a manager, he's a beast. Rick Carlisle, my criteria, Steve, is this. I'm always going to pick a guy who either got to a finals or won a ring. Because that's the tiebreaker. And if guys have had multiple opportunities, which Don Nelson has had and Rick Carlisle's had, tiebreaker goes to the ring. So that's why Rick Carlisle gets the edge. So, and I think Don Nelson was, great for what he did, but it's 2 different entities. Okay. They're getting quiet now, so we'll see. Jerry West got the ring, and he had a better clutch shot. Stockton is a great assist man. I'll give you that, but Jerry West could do more. West was more athletic. You know, 2 different types of players too. That's why it's not fair. Because if West was a point guard, he ices Stockton because he was putting up 20 plus points. Stockton was a traditional point guard, so it's 2 different types. Yeah, Carlisle, well, I don't know if I'd say underrated, but I'll say he's, I give him his due. I give him his due. He got ran out of Dallas though, because Luka wasn't trying to hear his noise though. But that's after he ran Rondo out. So I don't always understand some of the coaching. And Indiana don't play no defense. Oh, of course, Ryan Clark. Orlowski is one of them. It's kind of like JJ Redick. I'm surprised if Orlowski. How come? Oh God, who could I pick on in NFL? God, if he was a fan of Patrick Mahomes and he could be his head coach, I mean, really, it's kind of like the same thing. Ryan Clark. That's funny. Yeah, Ryan Clark. He's got knowledge. He's got freshness. I like him better. Orlowski's overrated, and I don't remember his career either. Sorry. I watched hard to see his 3-minute clip on ESPN. I mean, on YouTube. I can't find it. Maybe he's got a Nerf uh, in-house one. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm trying hard, and I am trolling too. So, but Olowski gets on my nerves though with his corny jokes. All right, now I'll be on for a few more minutes because it seems like it's getting quiet now. The Giants and who? Refresh my memory. I'll remember it if you mention who they played against because I know the Giants went to the World Series that year. No, wait a minute. They didn't go that year. Wait a minute. Did they? Wait a minute. Yeah, they went that year because yeah, yeah. St. Louis. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's why I don't really talk about that Buster. And how he got an ESPN gig, I don't know. Yeah, because the Giants lost to the Angels, and I still don't know how they lost that World Series. And then, of course, I'm thinking about the Yankees and the Florida Marlins. But yeah, I still don't know how he got the ESPN gig. But they've had Mark Malone. They've had some busters. They had Sean Salisbury. But yeah, I don't really remember Orlovsky. But then again, I didn't sit around watching Detroit Lions games because after Barry Sanders left, they stunk. And most of the people in Detroit were wearing bags over their head. And they probably don't remember Dan Orlovsky. Oh, well, I guess social. It's not a question I usually get asked, but if you're talking about as a manager, if you're talking about as a hitter, it's Hargrove. But if you're talking about as a manager, social. Even though he underachieved because he had Garrett Anderson, Trout, and Pujols, and they just never really did much over there. Had some people. I don't know why they underachieved so bad. But it's not for me to know, I guess. I don't know. Well, as a manager, Social did win, but yeah, I want him to get that ring too. I still don't know how they lost that. They were up 6-0. He hit that ball that still never came back down. I don't know how the Giants bullpen blew that. He's not overrated, but what is happening to him is that he needs a defining moment post Golden State for some people, for his critics. Now, his skill set is incredible. I mean, if he was healthy and could play, I mean, play like 2 or 3 years. I think the problem I have with Durant is he never gets mad. He's just too cool. It did. I would love for Durant to just go off and say, "Look, I got to score 40 something like Ant did." If Durant played like he balled out because he's the coolest. He's almost like an air conditioner. He's just too cool. That's why he's not cut out too much pressure being the alpha. And no, he's not overrated, but he's getting to a point where he's going to be kind of forgotten despite his numbers. because they're going to hold it against him that he didn't, you know. Right now, I'm in the UK. What about yourself? I hope not. They really can't do nothing for him there. White supremacy in the USA too. White supremacy in Canada. Tell me somewhere that you don't have it. And like I said, for now. So it's kind of like wherever you go, you got to deal with it. You just got to be aware. She got that boom moment in America. She got that boom moment in Canada. That was just icing on the cake. Mm, Um, no, no, he's in between because he's one of those guys that he kind of underachieved because he didn't have enough offense to his game. Great defensive player, and he just didn't. All right, yep, yep, yep. And he just didn't. You know, he just didn't finish what he had. Yeah, I always stay on my pivot. I'm I'm gonna say it like this: I'm a black man, no matter where I am in the world. I don't never lose track of where I'm at. I know my skin. I know where I've been. I don't get impressed, and I expect the oppressors to come after you. The toughest thing about being anywhere is you just have to learn stuff. That's all. But you know, you can figure it out wherever you are. I've been to different places and I done seen some things. So yeah. But the white, the only thing that make him overrated is he just didn't score enough. He didn't ever learn an offensive move. That's what hurts him. But he'd be more on the underrated tip. That he thank you. He'd be more rated on the underrated tip because if you used his what he did, he should be playing right now. We don't gate our culture because we don't love each other. We only want each other. We admire each other, but yet we be hating on each other. You know, when you see that mess with Kendrick and Drake, you know, cats that are in two different types of tone arguing over what? You know, they're just petty. Shannon Sharp going at Shaquille O'Neal. And I said, you wouldn't say that about Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, them white quarterbacks that don't have the half of what Shaq's got. Because you got to put their Super Bowl wins, and they ain't matching him. But you ain't got no energy for them or for Drew Brees. And you're talking about another sport that's out your jurisdiction. So, you know, I find that rich. But we don't love one another. We don't up one another. We look for ways to tear each other down, and we keep the plantation alive. It's the stuff that we tolerate. You bring $1 trillion every year, and you ain't got nothing to do for it. Bullshit. Yeah, I know. I agree. Go out of their way. Go out of their way. See, I'll tell you like this: if black folks loved each other at 50% in America, there would be no more America. They would have to give reparations and they send your butt to Africa. And you wouldn't have a choice. Them planes would be ready to go. You wouldn't even need a passport. They'd send you away because they couldn't deal with it. You know why they couldn't deal with it? Because we wouldn't tolerate the prison culture taking over, we wouldn't tolerate the racism institutionalized where you're only treated for 1 month out the year in school, and we wouldn't go for anti-black bills. We'd have anti-black bills are set in place. We wouldn't have Black Lives Matter. Police would be held accountable. They'd have to really be neighbors. They could not be white supremacists, slave dog catchers. So standards would have to be different. That's how big it would be if we loved one another. We love one another, we would be each other's best friend and neighbor. We would not tolerate ghettos and Section 8s. We would not tolerate second, third hand way of living. We would not be told that if we make music that it's only black music, that it's not acceptable in all genres. I am never shocked about anybody white doing what they do. I expect it. She was used on these channels, but she never, when it came to reparations, what did you think was going to happen? I don't know why you're ever shocked or surprised, because until they go all the way, don't go for the okie doke. You got to remember something. Money is different animal. What they say, it's kind of like that mess that Bernie Sanders be saying. He got you thinking he's independent, and he got you thinking that he's like middleman and they the big bad wolf. Ask him about reparations. Bernie Sanders gets real white. I didn't already learn that mess. It's all a game. It's all a hustle. Politics is one big trick. And they got people thinking that they care until they get called out on their jive. And then you find out that it's the same old same. So I don't pay them no mind. Yeah, like a slave owner. Just like Joe Biden. Just like Donald Trump. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. I watched her and it came and went. A white woman ain't going to come out and talk about reparations and slavery and so on, unless, of course, that's not going to be the norm. So you're barking up the wrong tree. She'll say certain things. She ain't going to go all the way in. So they fell for that because it's Hollywood. That's a different type of falling. Hollywood's a different animal because hip hop at the time and those things are very nuanced. They're very new. And hip hop is in a different state than it was too. Oh yeah. Well, I saw that video of him. I was cracking up, but he's out there with that Martin Willing, and they all do it. Very few of them stay loyal. Very few. Because black culture is seen as like being black. It's like seen as some stars in the skies, some paradise, and ooh, everybody won't be black, but they don't want to be black. They don't want the experience. They want the illusion. So he probably was planning on that all along. But his audience ain't gonna move along with him. I don't see it's gonna blow up. I know what he's trying to do. It's nothing new though. Culture vultures have been around forever and they will continue. The only difference is they don't wear Klan outfits. They just come out and dress like they think that is acceptable. Yep. Big Mama and a Big Daddy with a switch was everything too. It's a different ball game now. We do. But the problem is a lot of us from within is that they don't care. Got the switch, got the belt, got the chair, got the shoe, extension cord, the whole nine. That was a different era, different time. Got it all back in the day. It's a different day and time, yo. Different day and time. I got about 10 more minutes before I go because I'm going to eat in about 10 minutes. I'll definitely do longer tomorrow, though. See, there'll be no problem with Sunday. I didn't laugh because I used to have to get whipped and then there'd be some hot water from my behind. So it wasn't nothing funny. Cheeks was hurting, but be sore, yo. I don't want to make no jokes of it because it's a different connotation. But, and it's no Diddy, but it's almost like being at the puffy party. Your butt was sore and you had no reason to rhyme. You just couldn't sit down. Just saying. But that's the way it was. Old school didn't play. Nowadays they taking all that from the parents, so you would get whipped by everybody in the block. But nobody does it no more though. Yeah, they tell you act a fool, you can get your butt towed up. So yeah. It wasn't that long ago, but it seems like a lifetime compared to what they do nowadays though. Different era, different time. Oh yeah, you acted up in public, your butt was gonna get towed up. You definitely was gonna get towed up. Yep. You remember. I remember. It's not about Will Smith though. It's because they're soft because they in a time where they it goes back to what Chuck D said. Chuck D made a great point. It's about the culture. Like MTV, the videos. You know, when you first of all, I'm gonna say something. Men don't really ever have to grow up in a society. They get to play boys forever because I'll be there in just a second on that one. Nelly, of course, on that one. Rick Ross is a fraud. Like his music, okay, but um, yeah, Nelly was more moved me more than Rick Ross. Rick Ross ain't do much for me. Um, Chuck D mentioned that because hip hop talked about MTV, so they sell you on imagery, and you live in a culture and a place that men never have to grow up. So there's an arrested development thing there, and so um, they've always wanted them in dresses. That ain't nothing new. But what I'm trying to tell you, it's also the culture of entertainment that they pushed an agenda. Like, let me tell you something that's worse. Let me tell you what's worse than the dresses is the thugs. You see the tough guy facade that they sell in these videos and these imageries and these actions. That's even worse than that outfit because they've been selling prison culture. Flip Wilson was a great talent. Okay. Flip Wilson was a versatile talent. He didn't get the opportunities that he didn't have the opportunities that Tyler Perry did, and he didn't get that he didn't get that situation. Um, um, it's a different era. Um, okay, I guess by default, I'm going to say Wayne's got more songs I like, but I don't like neither one of those guys. But I'll say Wayne by default. But I'm not a fan of neither one of them. You haven't really moved me on the hip hop needle with some of the people because I'm not really feeling some of them cats. But I'd probably listen to some Jay-Z songs more catchiness, but Wayne probably got him beat though. But anyway, the imagery thing has always been there in Hollywood. They wanted you to either be a docile Negro male actor or they want you to be there's a certain thing that they want. And what's up? Oh yeah, good to see you too. I'll be here for a couple more. I got a few more minutes. Flip had a script. Good to see you too, Eddie. Flip had a script. What you gotta remember about Flip is that a black man having a TV show in mainstream was something else. Come on now, Steve. I mean, who's a two-time league MVP? Now Eli won, so I guess I gotta say Eli because he's got the rings and he came up big. That's the hardest one for me to answer yet. I guess I gotta say Eli only because he's got the rings. And I do have to use rings as an argument. You're asking me who moved me more, I'd say Lamar, but Lamar's postseason ain't as good as Eli's. And I gotta use that ring criteria. Hate to say it. That was a good one too. Because I gotta be consistent. But yeah, Flip didn't get, again, but it shows you how the plantation is in Hollywood. Because with Flip Wilson to Kevin Hart, I thought Flip was funny though. But it's the same game. It's just done in a different way. But keep in mind of, again, the dollar and what they want the black culture. They want black, Chris Bosh. Y'all to me didn't really get to another level. I liked him, but Bosh did more. Yeah, you can either say them two, or you can say Ice Cube and Nas, or you can say Nas and you got to come with people that I think that are more, you know, and I'm taking Rakim, but that's a close one. But it's not an age thing because I can go with. First of all, you could ask me about Snoop versus Cube, or you could hit me with Jadakiss versus Scarface or something like that. There's a lot of ways you can hit me. My bag and my time ain't limited, you know. I'm taking Bosch though. He got more out of his career. He moved me more. Y'all was kind of stationary. Had some talent, but there was always something missing. So I'm taking Bosch. And I don't want anybody who's of Asian persuasion who comes to my live stream thinking I'm hating or tripping. But I didn't feel that y'all had necessarily got to another level. Snoop, that's easy. That's easy. Snoop had a classic album, classic songs, had more of a career. People still talk about your songs 30 years later. I don't think T.I.'s gonna have anybody talking about whatever you like in 15 years. I just don't. They still talking about gin and juice. They still talking about um undercover. They still talking about the deep cover. His voice, his cadence, distinctive. I'm gonna call it tonight. Like I said, I've been like an hour and a half. I appreciate everybody that came through. It was very lively tonight. And y'all come back tomorrow night. I'll do it a little bit earlier tomorrow. Appreciate everybody come through because I'm gonna talk about these playoffs and all these topics that we got going on. Appreciate everybody coming through. Okay, before I go, Andre 3000 had more charisma, better material. I like Luda for his energy movement, but if Andre could take him. Bosch got more out of him, more versatile. He had a shot. Dwight Howard never had a shot. You got to think when you ask these questions, make sure that the guy that you're putting him up against, not only his success, but also that he could match him. Dwight was just a great defensive player, limited offense. Bosch got him beat both ways and more versatile. Dwight could have been better and he should have been better. If he had a shot, a hook shot, something, because he just wasn't consistent with it. He didn't work at his game. Not like that. I like the later in his career Rodman thing, though, but they won't touch him now because he's too puffy-like, and you already know. Oh, I'm going to get ready to go right now. Of course, it's Jeter. Come on now. Jeter's one of the 5 greatest Yankees. That's pretty self-explanatory. I don't mind questions, but you got to make them more, you got to say like Jeter against Cal Ripken Jr. or something like that, or somebody like that. Give me something to work with. Come on now. Sada is not on Jeter's level. They're not a lot of people are when you put his body of work, his success, all that. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, And I'm not trying to dish you, nothing like that. It's just that you got to put like, Jeter against Ozzie Smith. You got to put them in perspective with an all-time great. That's what makes the conversation stimulating. Also, it makes it more competitive. Not against people that are clearly, I can understand the Bosch and, yeah, because he had a Seattle teams that 30 years ago, they won all those games. They lost to Denver in the first round. He always had some talent. He didn't really get that much out of he didn't get as much out of Carmelo and Denver. They went to Western Conference Final. So I do hold that against him. Should have had a little bit more success with what he had. With Gary Payton Kemp, just didn't get everything out of it, I think. And of course with Boogie Cousins and Milwaukee too. He could coach you up and he will come off, but yeah. Well, it could be greats versus great or goods against goods or average against average. But you got to put people that kind of, fit in the same area code. You don't want to, you don't want to ask me about Sean Bradley versus Akeem Olajuwon, something like that. Or, uh, uh, Rick Carlisle, because he got the ring. Again, it comes down, can you got that resume? Now I like Jerry Sloan more, but Rick Carlisle got that ring, and that's what you play to do. As Herm would say, you play to win. I got more respect. I like Sloan what he was able to do, but Rick Carlisle got that ring. Rick Carlisle also adapted, and he fits in good now. So okay, I'm gonna get ready to go in about 1 more minute. I stayed about 4 minutes longer than I was going to because I got food ready for me. Emmett's gonna win because he had more overall success. I like Falk better, but Emmett's gonna win that argument. It's a good one though. That's a good one, but Emmett's gonna win that argument though. More, he came up big. That's too mediocre. Well, Byron Scott did get 2 finals, So if I use the two finals arguments, I give it to Byron. But actually, I like Flip better. Flip was more personable. Byron went out weak. That mess in LA and his other jobs after the Nets was not a good look for him. But he did get those two finals with the Nets where he got runner up. So that's the only reason why. Other than that, I can make a case for Flip, but I give Byron because he got the two run ups. Yeah, that was good because you mentioned two cats that I could, they all time greats. I can make a case with Emmett and Marshall. It's just that I give Emmett the edge because you know, his success and his clutch. He came up big. Marshall was probably a better pure all around, but that's a good one though. Okay, I'm gonna give it a go now. Uh, I don't like neither one of those two, but I guess I'll say Fratello by default, but I don't like neither one of those two. By default. Okay. That's it right there. I'm gonna call it night right there. Appreciate everyone that came through. Peace the best. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay warm. I should be back in 24 hours. Glad to see everybody came through. Glad you came through, Steve, Howard. There's some interesting questions. Be ready for more tomorrow. Oh, this is a good one. And it's gonna be dirt because Durant is not ending well. And Durant's got one more ring than Dirk, but Dirk's got more impressive to me. They both got one league MVP, but Dirk's more of a leader. And I got to give it to Dirk on that. Got to give it to him on that. But they both in that lower 20, that range, the higher 20, that range. If Durant could win again, then it wouldn't be no other questions, but it's not ending well for him. All right. So, peace out. The best to you. That was a good one, too, Steve. That's a good way to end it right there. And it made me think, too, because I had to really put in perspective, but um, because of Durant's situation with Phoenix, and he's really fallen off to a point where he's not going to be a title contender guy anymore. He's been to more finals than Dirk, but okay, this will be the last one. Roethlisberger, he got to more Super Bowls, and he came up more clutch. Breeze had more talent. Breeze had more to work with because you can make the case with Sean Payton compared to what Roethlisberger had. You can make the case that he had a better stacked situation, and he underachieved, as far as I'm concerned. Breeze should have been more. He was prolific, so why he didn't dominate more? Why his postseasons? You know, so even though Breeze, but Ben was more clutch. And I can't stand neither one of them. So I can't stand neither one of them. If only you knew. I think they two of the biggest bigots and right wing conspirators and all that other stuff that you can imagine. But just strictly sticking to what they did on the field and strictly sticking to what moved me more. It's been so okay. This one is definitely should be it right there. I got no more. I gotta go eat. And I appreciate everyone. And that was a good way, I guess, to go out. Way to stick two people on me that I don't really care for. So, way to do it. Okay, I told you, Stephen, give it a go. And I mean it this time. Answering this question, that's it. Save it for tomorrow. You come back, we can go and continue. This one is a no brainer. I don't know about that. I appreciate the compliment, Tom, but I just give my takes. That's all. If you like them, I appreciate it. Stockton, fundamentally more sound. I know Nash got the MVPs, but glad you came through, Steve. But yeah, Nash was not somebody that was on my radar as a top tier point guard. Stockton was more consistent. Stockton was a better leader, more fundamentally sound. Nash was a better shooter from outside. You want to put threes into it and the way he moved, but Stockton's one of those guys. He could have probably played point guard for like 25 years, and he moved me more. So, you know, and Stockton is just a victim of his time, and that's true. That's just how I feel about it. But I peace the best. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Stay warm. Should be back in 23 hours. Appreciate you. And thank you all. Really do. Sincerely. Appreciate you. Thank you. Right on. Peace.